welcome to Venusian Intuition. If you're new, welcome. Grab a drink, grab a snack. If you are already a part of the gang, you already know what time it is. I am extremely tired, but we're going to get this video out. Today we're going to talk about, we're going to finish the Return series like I promised. And today, family, we're going to talk about Saturn in Return and basically how Saturn kind of reacts, what to expect during a Saturn return, and basically how you can, things that you can do to kind of overcome the Saturn return, and kind of how it acts in different elements, so you can kind of pair it to your birth chart, and how you can use your Saturn return to the best of your abilities. So without further ado, family, let's get it. So as we all know, Mama Saturn put some respect on her name. Ruler of Capricorn, ancient ruler of Aquarius. Saturn is the disciplinary. The responsibility represents discipline, authority, boundaries, moral obligations, karma. Basically getting your shit together, because Saturn about to get in your ass if you don't. So Saturn return is basically when Saturn finds its way back to the same position on the zodiac sign and degree it was when you were born. Many know the Saturn return to happen at the age of 29, but it can happen as early as the age of 27. So some people do experience a Saturn return as early as the age of 27, and the effects of a Saturn return could be felt up to 3 to 4 years or even longer after. So a Saturn return usually takes 27 to 30 years to travel throughout a zodiac sign. So we do all experience a return. This usually happens around 3 periods in our life: during our late 20s, our late 50s, and our late 80s. So what are some things that you can expect during a Saturn return? Transformation. Transformation is one of them. From one phase of life into another. This can look like a child growing up into a teenager going to be a young adult going into college life, then transitioning to an adulthood. You can definitely look at or respect responsibility to either increase or decrease. How ways you can be more responsible. What steps do you need to take? What do you need to transform? Lessons that you need to learn. What lessons did you learn from the past mistakes or failures? How can you apply this knowledge to your life today? Also, how can you better discipline yourself to reach your goals, strengthen any perceived weaknesses, or say having the willpower to say no to things that are not of your highest good. So that's where that discipline comes from as well, saying no to things that you know are not good for you. What boundaries do you need to create to make these things happen? So how to survive a Saturn return. Do the work, shadow work, humble yourself, face your inner darkness, things that you're ashamed of, things that no one know about you, things that you know you need to change. This is all what shadow work entails. Taking responsibility for yourself, being accountable. Mostly important, because you're doing all this work, practicing that self-compassion for yourself, and understanding at the end of the day that as long as you're trying, that's all that matters. So how a Saturn return, would look in different elements, or just Saturn in different elements and how it would react. I can kind of give you like a blueprint on things that you can kind of look at in your zodiac chart, your birth chart, to see, if your Saturn is in a fire, water, air, or earth element, and how you can go forward as far as in dealing with it when you do experience a Saturn return. So say if your Saturn is in a fire element, there may be a struggle with expressing one's creativity, one's passions. So the lesson here is to use Saturn, to use that fiery energy. Use that fire energy when it comes to producing results, and not allowing one's ego to make you feel like you can go against Saturn's restrictions. And basically these restrictions are the lessons that Saturn is wanting you to learn. So for a fire sign, this may look like being overly temperamental, Aries, being too prideful, Leo, being a know-it-all, Sagittarius. So wherever, say, sign your Saturn is in, make sure you kind of look at that and see what lessons around Saturn that you need to learn if you do have the fire element here. how Saturn will react in the air element. There may be a struggle around expressing one's identity, thoughts. So the lesson here is to use the gift of mental strength that you naturally have to produce the results that you need, and allowing one's ego again to go against the restrictions Saturn has for you, because you need to learn certain lessons. So for a Saturn and air element, this can look like, not allowing other people to drain you mentally, and knowing when to step away and tell people no so you can recharge. And this is Saturn and Aquarius. This can also look like, applying all of the knowledge you have accumulated to your life, and not just keeping it and keeping it for the sake of knowing it but not actually applying it. And this could be a Saturn and Gemini. And also, say Saturn and Libra, just make sure that you're being responsible for your position in the partnerships, so that you can practice, and not just practice but maintain that balance as well. And just with the air element, just making sure that you're not going into the ego portion of that zodiac, because that's when you're going to meet the restrictions of Saturn, and it's going to kind of be like it's going to go against you. So the best thing you want to do is look at the positive attributes of that zodiac sign, and use more of that to kind of offset, any restrictions that you may be having with Saturn, if that makes sense. So say if your Saturn is in a water element, there may be a struggle around expressing one's emotions, feelings. So the lesson here is to use your intuition and your caring nature to get the job done, not allowing your ego to go against Saturn restrictions. Just temporary restrictions, because Saturn wants you to learn a lesson. So this can look like experiencing very hard lessons around family, giving and receiving nurturing care, Saturn and Cancer, creating healthy boundaries and protection, Saturn and Pisces, and not being overly secretive or ruthless, Saturn and Scorpio. So let's jump to Saturn and our Earth element. Saturn and Earth element, there may be struggle with handling responsibilities or just stability overall. So the lesson here is to use the practical, discipline, hard-working nature to get the job done, and not go against Saturn restrictions or the lessons that Saturn wants you to learn here. So for Earth energy, this can look like maybe hoarding possessions, having the not enough mentality. Start taking responsibility for the environment around you, Saturn and Taurus. Not fearing failure and not taking on too much responsibility, Saturn and Capricorn. Not being overly critical and losing a perfectionist attitude, as far as wanting everything to be perfect and fearing of making mistakes. And this was actually Saturn and Virgo. So the thing that I really admire and respect about Saturn, because my Saturn is in Capricorn, so I guess I'm kind of used to that energy. So for me, it's kind of easy to jump into that energy when I need to get things done. But Saturn is an energy a planet I definitely respect, because it's really here to show you the things, and not the things, but the power within yourself that you can pull out to get things done. And not just get things done, but get the important things done in life, the things that are going to grow you on all levels. And you need a disciplinary like Saturn to push you. And your zodiac sign is just an indicator of what energies that you can use to get the job done. And a lot of people fear Mama Saturn, but it's nothing to be feared. Just know that she is the mother of tough love. So, without tough love, you wouldn't strive to do your best. You wouldn't bring out your best qualities, because there's nobody's putting their foot on your neck to do it. No one's basically saying, no, you need to stop doing this and do more of this. Or maybe you need to look at how you do this and do it this way. And if you don't do these things, there will be hard consequences. Not because I hate you, it's only because I love you and I know what's best for you. And if you don't feel that I know what's best for you, then you're going to experience these hard ass lessons. Signed, Mama Saturn. Thank you for sitting through the video, family. I'll see you in the next series.